Welcome to episode 290 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harmon, joined live from our virtual studio on the internet by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, and the man who is feeling that Rocky Mountain high, John Scott Sloat.
Doc, what's happening?
Well, what's happening is you're out in Colorado.
Yeah, just got here last night.
So, are you staying in downtown Denver?
I'm just at a hotel by the airport right now.
Oh, so you're really not in Denver.
No, is the airport in Denver not in Denver?
Oh, it's way out.
Is it way out?
out
Okay.
of the city?
Well, then I'm well outside Denver.
Okay, so then you probably can't smell the marijuana that permeates the downtown Denver area.
That's a statewide law, though, right?
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
Okay.
I'm just saying the last time I was in Denver, and this was probably, so maybe I think this was pre-COVID. No, maybe it was after. Anyway, the I was out there for a conference and in the downtown area, and everywhere you walked publicly, you could smell it. Like the whole downtown area has just been taken over by the smell of that substance. So,
Yikes.
which
Not
is
good.
unfortunate. Not unfortunate. So, but so yeah. So, but later today, you're going to get to see another part of Denver, so you get to see the mountains and the beauty of Colorado.
I haven't seen anything outside my hotel window. We flew in last night. It was dark. So I didn't see anything, but I have a daytime flight today, sort of across the state to the.
Yeah, you'll get to fly right over the Rockies there.
So I guess I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but you
I
probably
hadn't
don't have a
thought-
window seat.
I don't know. I don't know if I
You're an
do.
aisle seat guy, aren't you?
Well, so I learned this. So I don't care. I want a window or an aisle, one of the two. I do
Just not a
want
middle seat. Yeah.
exactly. But I learned that United's boarding groups go, 1 and 2 are sort of their premium individuals, and then
Mhm.
3 is windows, 4 is middle, and 5 is aisle. And so when you carry on, getting that number 3 boarding group is a big deal.
Okay. See, yeah, I think because of my United mileage, I think I'm automatically in group 2. So, but I just don't like obviously no one wants the middle seat, but the thought of being stuck in a window seat and having to say to 2 people, excuse me, I need to use the restroom or something like that. Or even just not being able to pop up and stretch your legs for 30 seconds and that sort of thing has pretty much made me a committed aisle seat devotee.
I generally don't get out of my seat on planes unless it's coast to coast or overseas. I just plop down and watch a show or read a book or do something for the flight. I generally don't get up and walk around.
You know what we have not done? We have not done a show, an episode on travel in like forever.
In a long, long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, had I been able to take my England trip, we could have done a whole episode on a recap of that, but obviously that didn't happen. So
Yeah, the eye prevented it. By the way, how is the eye? The gas bubble dissipated?
the gas bubble's gone.
That's wonderful news. Wonderful news.
Yeah. So I am technically able to fly now. Not that I
Okay.
have any immediate plans, not till I think October is my next trip where I'm flying somewhere, but I'm still on activity restrictions in terms of can't
Okay.
really exercise, nothing strenuous,
Okay.
and I'm supposed to avoid bending down and like you learn all these things in terms of like the things that change pressures or put pressure on your eyes that you just take for granted, like bending over to pick something up apparently alters your eye pressure temporarily, or
Really?
so yeah.
Can
But
you go for walks at least? I mean, it's beautiful.
I can do short walks.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, it's yeah, I can't mow my grass, so my neighbor's still mowing our grass. Not that we've needed to mow the grass because it's so stinking dry, but
Yeah, although it rained quite a bit this weekend.
yes, very excited about that. As you know, well, I'll get to this when I'll save it for my one thing I liked. But anyway, if you would like to contact the show and get some travel tips from John Scott Sloat, uh, or me, I suppose, you can contact the show at VNS Pod. You can find us, you can email us. I mean, that works too. Various and sundry podcast at gmail.com. We are on Facebook and on YouTube, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star review. So, all right, John, let's talk a little sports.
Okay.
Um, I did not watch the baseball All-Star game this week. Anything interesting happen out of that?
So I did not watch it either. That's not entirely true. I think I watched an inning or two. But what was most interesting about it is it ended in a swing off, kind of like a penalty shots for baseball.
Okay, so you're going to explain that to me.
So it's my understanding of it is who can hit the most home runs. So you send your best guys up to the plate and you see who, it's kind of like a mini
Uh,
little home run derby at the end of the game to decide the
so
tie.
so it was tied through 9 innings, and then that's what you do.
That's what they did.
Okay, man, that sounds so gimmicky.
It does. So does penalty shots in hockey though, doesn't it?
Yes, and same with soccer as well.
Yeah, yeah. But those
Um,
are exciting finishes.
yes, it just seems inconsistent with the broader nature of the sport. I would I baseball is different, but for like hockey and soccer, I would be for just every I don't know, every few minutes you take one player off each side, and so it just becomes fewer and fewer players on the field. I think making
Oh,
it easier to score
hmm.
and end it. So, I mean, in hockey you do that already with power plays, right? I mean, because of
Yeah.
penalties.
And I think overtime's 4-on-4 anyway. If memory, I'm reaching back into my hockey rule uh,
Yeah, it could
memory
be.
bank
I don't
here.
know. I don't know. But in any case, uh, other sports news, British Open. Did you watch any of that?
I didn't watch any of that. I know Scotty Scheffler was doing well. Did he win yesterday?
He did. He did. I did not see any of it either, though. I wanted to see if you saw any of this. It was interesting in the lead up to the British Open. Uh, Scheffler was asked about what it would mean to win the British Open, which he hadn't done yet.
Hmm.
And he gave this 5-minute answer where he basically said, well, yeah, it's great for like 2 minutes. You win this, and it's great for like 2 minutes, and then you're kind of on to the next thing. And it doesn't compare to, being a dad and other like, being with my family and that sorts of things. And what's interesting is that, he said this and that, of course, got some attention. Did you see that at all?
No, no, I didn't. I was probably, quite frankly, too focused on the Coldplay controversy
Well,
over the weekend.
there you go. Well, goodness gracious. We'll steer clear of that one. But in any case, and then of course he wins it.
Yeah.
So and there was this really sweet. I saw this clip on X of during the trophy ceremony, his little boy, who's like not even two, like barely walking, like early stages walking, is like trying to walk up and toddle up towards the green where they're holding it. And of course, he takes like 4 steps and bites it, and the crowd's oohing and eyeing. But then so he goes and picks him up, and it's just it's a sweet picture of him holding his son and holding the claret jug at the same
Yeah.
time. Well, afterwards, one of the reporters asked him about So no, you said this before. Did the high of winning the British Open last more than 2 minutes? And he's like, well, I hope I was clear that it is meaningful. Like it is something that I obviously work hard towards, and it's fulfilling a dream and that sort of thing. I was just trying to say that there are even more important things in my life than
Sure.
playing golf. Um, and then as kind of a wrinkle, one of the other guys, it was I think it's Justin Spieth, came out and said one thing that's different about Scotty Scheffler is he does less of the corporate sort of branding and kind of more of the private events that these guys end up doing for additional money and you know for their sponsors and that kind of thing.
Huh.
Um, which was an interesting thing, to highlight that I think it just reinforces, um, you know, for Scotty Scheffler, he's about his faith and he's about he's about his family, and it just happens that he's terrific at golf.
Yeah. Who's was it Brooks Raley? No, 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 no. Excuse me. Who am I thinking of? Brooks Koepka,
Kepka.
um, who was like the opposite of Scotty Scheffler, was just really obsessed with being great. And was there a documentary on Netflix about this? Am I remember this correctly?
I don't know.
But anyway, it was sort of I remember hearing about it and remember thinking, oh, this is like a modern day Chariots of Fire, right? Where the one
Yeah,
guy is desperate for meaning through his sport, and the other guy is like, I find my meaning elsewhere, and I want to succeed, I want to be good, but
sure.
I'm not. This doesn't define me.
Yeah, I think it's just funny how our culture just doesn't it struggles for that category
Hmm.
of the professional athlete who uh, is truly elite. I mean, right now he's the best golfer in the world,
Sure.
um, but is not like that's not the most important thing in that person's life. That it's not because I think the Michael Jordan mentality, right? Like that's all Jordan really wanted. Like that was the most important thing in Michael Jordan's life. And that's arguably why he was the greatest player to ever play basketball, is because that's what he was driven by. Not saying it's
Yeah.
healthy, but that's what was the most important thing. And he was driven to accomplish it. Tiger Woods, same thing.
Hmm.
And so the
There's a
world, I think, struggles to have a category for a guy like Scheffler, who's like, well, yeah, this is important, and I put a lot of work into it, and it means something, but it's not ultimate.
Yeah, there's a great book about particularly Jordan's the first chapter, Tiger's the last chapter, the cost of these dreams. I think
Yeah,
I've probably recommended it here before. I used to give it to
yeah,
high school grads, particularly guys who love sports. But basically, it's just like, I mean, the great line in there that's always stuck with me. It's a really good sentence. Is Jordan created a version of himself that was perfect for the first 40 years of his life, and then unable to enjoy the next 40.
yeah,
And that's kind of where he's at.
yeah. And it's easy to kind of from a distance um, look at professional athletes and go, yeah, that's awful that they do that, and yet, how many people just in ordinary walks of life, whether it's their work or something else,
Sure.
make that an ultimate thing where they're looking for meaning and purpose rather than seeking to find that in the Lord,
Hmm.
or even in, caring for their family and loving their spouse, their kids, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
uh, one other sports note I wanted to touch on. Have you followed or seen again? This is primarily showing up on my Twitter feed. So, have you followed any of this with the WNBA players bargaining for a greater share of revenue in their collective bargaining agreement?
I I've seen I saw the t-shirts at the All-Star game this weekend.
Okay.
That was pretty much the extent of it. And it feels like it's a evergreen topic for women's sports, right? Like the women's national soccer team wore similar shirts for a while. The basketball now is wearing the shirts that say "Pay us what we're owed," and
Hmm.
um, this they got to negotiate, and I'm sure this is part of their negotiating tactics. I will
Sure.
say, I had a conference last week. What days were those? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the NCAA Hall of Champions.
Oh, down in Indy, yeah.
Yeah, down in Indy. And Friday was just decked out with All-Star Game WNBA stuff. So right outside of where my conference was at, there was a giant hot air balloon with the WNBA logo on it, and people were going up and down. There were
Huh.
news teams doing this hit from outside, and so
Hmm.
that's where I thought you were going to go. Did you follow anything from the WNBA? And I was going to talk about the hot air balloon that was outside my conference.
There you
Um,
go.
I followed that, but
Have you ever gone up in a hot air balloon?
no, no,
Would
goodness
you
no.
ever?
I don't think so. That much of an open flame as part of your propulsion, just no, thank you. So I don't get in rocket ships.
Well, there's probably multiple reasons why you don't get into rocket
That's
ships, but
probably true.
um, yeah. I'm sure I told you this. Like this was probably at least a decade ago. We had a hot air balloon emergency land in our backyard about 10 years ago, maybe
Oh,
closer
really?
to, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, something was going wrong. And like we were outside in the backyard doing something, and we saw in the distance this hot air balloon. We're like, oh, he's flying pretty low. And like he's starting to come down. And the dude yells down to us, "Can I land in your backyard?" Like, well, I don't see how I can stop you. And so something was going wrong, and he was doing an emergency landing in our backyard.
Huh.
Very, very unexpected experience. So that
Yeah.
also kind of soured me on the I don't know that I ever need to go up in a hot air balloon.
Yeah. I mean, the size of the flame is like comically huge and rather scary. So I don't know that I would do a hot air balloon.
Um,
Seems like a very poor device to get around the world in 80 days.
would you have any desire to go to jump out of an airplane in a parachute?
I don't know. There would have been a time in my life where I would have said yes. I don't think I would.
What about like hang gliding or parasailing? Sailing?
Probably not.
Okay.
If it was something, if it was something my kid was really into, I think I'd probably do virtually any of those things. Um, but probably not. I'm probably not interested.
So then it's your obligation to raise a kid who doesn't want to do that
Yeah, that's the stated goal from day one.
then. There you go. All right, John, it is time to move on to our main topic for the day. And we are back to the state of the Bible. The latest chapter was released, and this chapter is, as they have entitled it, Self-Care and Well-Being. Um, and I'll just start. I'm a little wary of the term self-care.
Hmm.
That's not my favorite term. I think it can be used in a way that's fine, but others, you know, this is my opening rant on. I feel like that term is often abused. I'll put it that way. And I probably run into it more in the academic realm of, with students and trying to use that term to explain, well, I can't be in class today because, and then fill in some self-care related issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, would do you, so, I mean, I know you do some of these things, right? I mean, they named five things that I would say are good for humans broadly, right? Physical exercise, spend time with friends, volunteer in community, uh, meditate. We could probably have a conversation about that one. That one's probably the strangest one on here. And then
Yeah.
pray to God. Um, four of those, I'm willing to bet Matthew Scott Harmon goes, I like four of those. Um,
Yes.
And defined correctly, you like all five.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have a different category or different word you would use to describe those things?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think self-care has become so um universally used that I don't know that we can get away from it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's probably one of those things where, you just have to be clear about how you're using the term. So anyway, this chapter is on self-care and well-being, and it's like you said, those are the five practices they identify. Um, Now, I'm going to start off right here. And their opening set of data here, they just do a broad sweep of US adults.
Sure.
Um, I was quite frankly shocked that 67% of US adults
Are
say they
exercising?
exercised in the last week.
Yeah, yeah. You want to
I
go.
don't believe it.
Does mowing the grass count as
Yeah.
exercise? Like what qualify define exercise for me? Because I felt the same way. Two-thirds are exercising at some level. I mean, did you go get something from your basement or, carry
Yeah.
groceries? Is that what's counting for exercise? So yeah,
That seems way too high.
I wonder if we had a stronger definition of exercise, if that number would narrow.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious. I'm sorry. I am out in public enough to see the general health conditions of the general population, and I just have to question whether that's an accurate number.
Sure. Yep. I'm also suspect of the spent time with a friend category. Uh, we've talked a
Which is
lot about.
basically the same, 66%.
Yeah, yeah. That feels high to me.
Yeah, again, how are we defining that? Are we defining that as a 5-minute conversation with a coworker during a break
Sure.
at work?
Or a high five in the hallway.
Like yeah, I don't know how that um and and 35% on meditate? Like, how are
Yeah.
we defining that?
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea. I had the same questions.
That just seemed weird to me. But in any case, what did you make of the breakdown by generation?
Um, well, one more thing on the US adults. Only 17% volunteer in their community.
Now that
That
seems more accurate.
that seems like the most accurate number in this bunch, and incredibly, incredibly sad.
Yeah, though again, I don't know how are we defining volunteer, but still, that even the most generous definition only gets us to 17%. Yeah, I don't. Um, yeah,
I
that is disappointing. That's sad.
Yeah. But to your questions on generations, I'm not sure there was anything super surprising here. I look at time spent with a friend, uh, younger and older people generally spend more time. I just think they have more time, quite frankly.
Well, and I think on the Gen Z, like they're still in a phase of life where they have lots of people around them.
Yeah, they're
And
still in
so,
school. Yeah,
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 or just fresh out of school, and so they're still very social and that kind of thing. So it makes sense to me that both millennials and Gen X are lower than Gen Z and
yes.
boomers.
Volunteering community again. Boomers are 10% higher than everybody else. I just think they have more time, and
Yes.
there's a good
Yes.
portion of them retired can do more of those things.
100%.
Probably the pray to God one is probably the most interesting, with millennials coming in at 51, and everybody else coming in over them, Gen Z at 52, and then Gen Xers coming in at 65. That was
Let's
surprising to me.
go.
And
Represent. That's my crowd.
boomers at 70 didn't necessarily surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even the meditate, um, again, how are we defining that, right? But, it basically goes up the older you get. Starts at 30 with Gen Z, goes to 32 for millennials, 34, and then what is that, 41 for boomers. But again, who knows how I guess I didn't dig into the weeds to see how we're defining that. And maybe they didn't define it in the question. They just asked the question and let the
Let the person
respondent.
fill it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm not surprised by that in terms of those numbers, in terms of the generational differences.
Yeah. What did you make of the flourishing? I mean, really, this becomes, after this, it really becomes a chapter comparing to the last chapter, right? I mean, it's comparing
Yeah.
these self-care categories to flourishing categories that what did we talk about that a month ago?
Yeah, probably. Um, yeah. So, I mean, obviously uh, those who are more engaged in these activities tend uh, are score higher on the human flourishing uh, rubric there.
Yeah.
Um, what's interesting to me is the highest percentage there is the volunteering in community.
Yeah.
That the percentage of those volunteering in their community that have high human flourishing scores is 49%, which that's a good, I mean, 7% higher than anything else of those five activities.
Yeah. And we'll see later, I think, in the data, if I'm remembering it correctly, that it's very much connected to purpose and meaning as well, being
Yes.
able to volunteer.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I don't know if this is the place to necessarily talk about this, but I mean, one of the issues that comes up in this whole discussion is causation and correlation, right?
Absolutely. I thought about that I was reading this whole thing. I was like, well, I just think these things are correlated, not necessarily causes of one another.
Right, that it's not necessary. And I feel like they're relatively cautious. They don't come out and say if you read your Bible,
You'll
you know,
flourish. Yeah. Yeah.
it'll cause you to flourish. It'll cause you to do these things. Like, well, you know, and at one point they do make the point of perhaps that the people who are most disciplined at reading their Bible are self-disciplined in other areas, which spills over into physical exercise and just having a more structured life where they intentionally do the kinds of activities that are listed here
Yeah.
because they prioritize them.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a real thing.
Yeah,
I think that's a part of it. Do you mind if we jump down to self-care and faith?
go for it.
Okay. Uh, Self-care activities by scripture engagement. So a while ago they talked about uh, these three categories of people: people who don't read their Bible and don't want to read their Bible, Bible disengaged, right? And then they talked
Yep.
about the movable middle, and then the scripture engaged, people who are regularly reading scripture.
Yeah.
And found it pretty interesting that the movable middle, nearly 90% of them pray to God.
Yeah.
And, throughout this, they've kind of presented the movable middle as this like opportunity for ministry, right? This is, these are people ripe for responding to the gospel.
Right.
Um, and Yeah, yeah, I think there's just really good. I think this kind of proves that out a little bit, particularly in that pray to God category there.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that uh, again, I do think they're right that there's probably some ministry opportunities there. Um, and honestly, movable middle, you know, and later they move into discussion of sort of the nominal Christian, and what's the other term they use? Casual? Is that
Yeah, nominal and casual.
okay?
Yes.
Um, and not that not that ministry needs to be solely directed to them, but I think it's wise for a pastor to know there's a chunk of these people in my congregation,
Mm.
um, and to steer some application their way, specifically their way, in the context of sermon application, or even thinking about what type of ministry opportunities might there be for this crowd of people. Um, but yeah, I think that um, I that's the most noticeable of these activities in terms of my scripture engagement, right? As you look at the differences, I mean, the Bible disengaged 35% of them pray to God, um, which still feels maybe a little high to me, but
Yeah.
you know, uh, I think that's illuminating in terms of. And then when you jump down to self-care activities by faith participation, um, this was interesting. Did you notice the physical exercise category there?
That
So on,
practicing Christians were a little bit lower.
yeah, too many potlucks, right?
Yes, yes.
But it was the casual Christian who came out ahead in that one at 74%. Um, just a few points ahead of the practicing Christian, but basically practicing Christian and non-Christian exactly I mean, 1 point off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you always have you know, what's the term I'm looking for? You have a could be between this range and this range difference in this, depending on.
Sure, sure. But that to me was the most interesting one of those, that apparently the casual Christian is the one hitting the gym the most often.
Yes.
Um, let's see here. What else stood out to you from this? We're wrapping up here. I don't know if there's much more in the chapter here, but anything else that caught your
Yeah.
attention?
Probably the effects of these things on stress, anxiety, loneliness, and hope. I thought was pretty
Hmm.
interesting. Um, I thought it was at least interesting. Listeners can go look at that if they'd like. I don't know that we need to spend a ton of time there. Um, but yeah, I also think the face participation and well-being issues sort of laid out with stress, anxiety, loneliness, hope was helpful and interesting. Again, there's a correlation, causation conversation there, but it's there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah, I mean, you look across all of these issues of physical exercise, time with friends, volunteering, and those who are engaged in those activities consistently have higher scores on the hope index and
Absolutely.
have lower numbers on loneliness, meaning that they are less lonely than than others who don't engage in these. And you know, um, I think they're careful to say, they're not presenting it as, well, just become a Christian and your life will be better. Just read your Bible and your life will be better. I don't think they're saying that. And I do think we're getting, we're in that realm of the correlation, not causation. But, um, again, I think that being a faithful Christian involved in a local church puts you in a position, with perhaps the exception of the physical exercise,
Hmm.
uh, puts you in a position where you're just going to be more often encouraged, probably have more opportunities to do the other four things of,
Yeah.
you know, spending time with a friend, meditation, prayer, volunteering, all those sorts of things. You just have more opportunities and a larger network of people to do those things with.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But I do think, and I think there one takeaway that I have is from this whole thing is it is a reaffirmation of we're holistic people, we're embodied people, we're
Yeah.
social creatures, and sometimes I think pastors can focus so much on the spiritual, just the what's deemed as the purely spiritual, like I'm concerned about your soul, which of course is foundational, primary, and central. That we that maybe there could be um, more effort to address how these other areas um, just are beneficial to us as human beings. And they are connected to spiritual realities, right? God made us as embodied creatures.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that at some level we should be concerned about caring about our bodies. And he made us emotional creatures, and so it makes sense that we should pay attention to our emotional well-being. And again,
Yeah.
any of those can become idols, of course, but
Yeah, there's a
you know,
balancing act there. I mean, I'd add another category that was directly in this. We're social creatures, right? I mean, we're
yeah.
designed to interact and engage with others. So,
And I would add to that and say um what what often passes for social, i.e., online, is
yeah.
not the same as embodied socialization.
Agreed.
I'm not saying all forms of online interaction are bad, but it's not the same as physically being present with someone and spending time with them compared to, well, yeah, we text or we DM back and forth or whatever, or even, you know, um, like I know our boys, one of the ways they stay connected is they play video games with each other online. And
Oh,
is that a
yeah.
way of staying connected? Well, sure, but it's not the same. And they would say it's not the same as getting together and going to play disc golf together in person and that kind of thing. Like that's just not the same. But um, so anyway, I think yeah, understanding we're holistic creatures should help us think about how we take care of ourselves. So and how we help others take care of themselves, right? Yeah, that's part of the picture there too.
Oh, yeah. All right. We ready to move on?
Let's do it.
All right. Today in sports history, July the 22nd, uh, July 22, 2025. More than halfway through the year. 1923 on this day, the Washington Senators' future Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher, Walter Johnson, became the first to reach 3,000 career strikeout milestone en route to over 3,500 with 5 Ks and a 3-1 win over the Cleveland Indians. Walter Johnson.
I feel like almost all the pitching records that we talk about are just never going to be broken because the game's so
Yeah,
different now.
the game is so
Wins,
different.
strikeouts, all that kind of stuff. Like they'll just never be broken.
I I think strikeouts can because you have the true outcomes, right? You sort of have the home run, guys are striking out more, K rates are up, things like that. Um, like I'm surprised that he only had 5 strikeouts in a game. Like that seems low to me.
For
Uh,
for back then, yes.
so guys today are striking out. So I think the K record, the strikeout records can fall. I think you're right about the wins.
But are they going to get enough innings? I mean, these guys used to pitch, 8, 9 innings, and now got a starter. If you get 5 innings out of a starter, what's the quality win? What quality start? Is it
Six,
five? It's
six.
six. Okay.
Hmm.
So realistically, you're getting 5 innings, 4, 5, 6 innings
Yep.
out of most at most. So anyway, maybe.
1926 Cincinnati Reds right fielder Curt Walker ties the National League record of 2 triples in an inning in a 13-1 rout of the Boston Braves.
I'm assuming that record still stands or has been tied since then. But
I would assume so. I'd assume it stands. Yeah, Atlanta. So that's the Atlanta Braves. They were in Boston and they were in Milwaukee for a time. before
Yes.
landing in Atlanta. 1967, speaking of them, the Atlanta Braves established MLB record for number of pitches called upon, number of
Pitchers.
pitchers, excuse me, called upon in one inning, five used in the ninth inning of a 5-4 loss to the Cardinals. Um, that rule has changed, and relief pitchers now have to face three batters when they come in.
When did that change?
Oh, that's probably 3, 4 years ago now, maybe five.
Okay.
I think it was a good rule change, personally. 1984, 22nd Federation Cup Women's Tennis, Sao Paulo, Brazil. I have no idea if I got that right. Czech pair,
Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo. Okay. Oh, that's a city, not a town, not a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Czech pair, Hanna Mondilov and
Hannah Manlikova.
okay, and Helena Sukova
Yeah, that's pretty good.
beats Australian Elizabeth Sayers and Wendy Turnbull, uh, 6-2, 6-2, and 2-1 for the victory.
There you go.
97, Atlanta Braves. My goodness, we're just really hitting the Braves today. Pitcher Greg Maddux, there's a complete game with just 78 pitches and a 4-1 win over the Cubs at Wrigley Field in Chicago.
Now that's impressive. A complete game,
Yeah, yeah.
78 pitches.
And he pitched to soft contact. I mean, he was just the master at getting people to hit ground balls, lazy pop-ups, stuff like that.
Yeah, he's the epitome of I'm going to pitch in a way that you hit it to my fielders.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Now, early in his career, he had some fire when he was originally with the Cubs, where he would just, if he didn't like a guy, he would just beam him, you know? He was also something of a prankster. I've heard some stories about him and John Smoltz used to live in the same neighborhood in Atlanta. And Greg Maddux would followed him to work one day, and at every stoplight would just bump him with his car to the point where when Smoltz gets to the stadium, that his bumper fell off at his car. 2001 British Open men's golf, Royal Lytham and St. Anne's. David Duval wins his only major title by 3 shots from Nicholas Faths of Sweden. I have no idea if I got that right.
probably close.
No clue if I got that right.
I mean, I guess that would have been right at the time. Were you paying any attention to golf at that young of an age? You were like, 8, 10 in that realm.
Oh, I think I was, gosh, I'm in 88, so that would be
Oh,
what,
13. Yeah. So probably
13.
starting to pay attention to golf by then.
Starting to pay attention. I know the name David Duval, but I don't remember the specific instance.
I mean, he kind of came onto the scene the same time as Tiger Woods. Not with the same, obviously, success, but he was sort of presented as, oh, so he's going to be the guy that is kind of Tiger's rival and it just never materialized. So it's, yeah. So who do you like out of this?
Oh, I kind of
You're
like
not
the
going to
two.
go with the Brave. So, I mean,
No, no. Well, the route of the Braves, I will. Kurt Walker with 2 triples. That's pretty impressive.
let's do it.
Okay.
Curt Walker, it is. All right. One thing you liked.
Uh, Last week, I went to the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy for their major gift seminar. And let me tell you, those people know how to put on a seminar. There's constant snacks, there's all sorts of drinks, all kinds of food. Like you show up at 8:30, there's 7 or 8 different kinds of bagels. There's box lunches ready to go. In the afternoon, they have cookies and popcorn and all sorts of things. They just know how to put on a seminar, and it's an impressive feat.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go with the landscape reboot that we have had done over the past few weeks here at our
Hmm.
home. So we had basically almost all of our old landscaping ripped out.
Okay.
With a few bushes were kept, but mostly ripped out. And had some new underlay put down, some new stone, some hydrangeas planted, some burning bushes, some peonies, um, some steel edging around the landscaping. Um, and it was done by Emerald Cut Lawn and Landscape. So I'm going to give them
Hmm.
some free advertising here, a shout out. Uh, the guy who runs it is actually a former student of Kate's and was in Jake's graduating class
Oh, nice.
and is a new listener to the podcast. So,
Nice.
I mean, so they've done a great job. They also power washed the house and the deck.
Hmm.
Makes a massive difference. So yeah, that is my one thing I liked.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, John, we have talked about your Rocky Mountain High. We have talked about the British Open. We have talked about the Bible and self-care. We have talked about Curt Walker hitting 2 triples in 1 inning. We have talked about Emerald Cut Lawn and Landscape, and we have talked about the Lilly Foundation putting on a big old shindig down there. That was an Indy, right?
Yeah, really the spread was the star, you know.
The spread was the star. Okay, there you go. So, I think, by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.